The hallway smelled of chalk and paste. The bell had just rung through, and in the nurse's little room, the basin held the blue. You stood beside the medicine shelf with cotton in your hand, a ledger open to the date, a chair too small to stand. The playground dust was on his knees, his pride was worse than skin. He kept his chin set hard and high to hold the crying in. You washed the thumb and turned it slow, not making much of pain, then blew the iodine dry before it stung again. A ruler tapped beyond the wall, the class began to add, and all at once that quiet room seemed kinder than it had. You tore the gauze in one clean strip, then folded it just twice, and said the bravest boys you knew still had to take advice. He watched you tie the little knot as if it were a prize, then looked at me and looked away with sunlight in his eyes. My errand there was nothing much, a note the teacher sent. I stood beside the open door and forgot the way I went. You wrote his name beneath the line, then gave his sleeve a brush, and sent him back with both hands whole inside the morning hush. The bandage on the thumb, white against the school day sun, was only meant to hold a hurt till arithmetic was done. The bandage on the thumb, I watched your fingers stay, and learned how softly care can speak when pride is in the way. No one would call it tenderness, a basin, gauze and chair, a boy who fell beside the swings, a nurse with pinned up hair. Yet some small mercies keep their place long after bells have gone. The hand that does not shame the wound, but helps the child move on. The bandage on the thumb, neat beneath his cuff of blue, held more than cotton, tape and thread, because it came from you. The bandage on the thumb, plain as any schoolroom thing, still shows me how a gentle hand can send the hurt back singing. The bell rang out for recess time, the hallway filled with feet, and in your book the morning stayed, recorded small and sweet. The optician's bell had hardly rung, the streetcars thinned toward 5, and dust along the counter glass kept little suns alive. He stood beneath the eye chart there, with lenses in a tray, The trial frames beside his hand, the afternoon gone gray. A schoolboy chose a tortoise pair, a clerk wrapped cases brown, and May leaned through the striped front shade upon the quiet town. She came in with her sewing bag, her thimble in one seam. She said the needle looked too small and tried to make it seem a thing that happens now and then, a nuisance, nothing more. But both her hands held tight around the handle at the door. He set the little silver frame across her careful face, then turned the dial lens by lens with unannouncing grace. The black marks blurred, then cleared, then blurred. She laughed and looked away, as if the room had caught her age too plainly in the day. He did not say the years had come, or ask how long she'd known. He only took the pointer down and lowered what was shown. One line larger softly said, "Then we shall find the right." And all the shop grew kinder there around her borrowed sight. Some pride is made of tiny things, a thread passed through the eye, a name read on a medicine box, a bus sign going by. And some men know the merciful can live in where they stand, not changing what the truth has said, but placing it near hand. One line larger, let the letters stay. Let the world come close enough to meet her halfway. One line larger, plain black upon the white, yet something in her lifted chin returned into the light. One line larger, till the blur gives way, till the smallest useful things come back into the day. One line larger, no comfort spoken through, only a careful chart brought down where failing eyes could do. At closing time the case is shut, the pointer found its wall, and in the glass one lowered line still answered for us all.
The pool bell rang at 4:30. The whistles lost their bite, and July shone along the tiles in squares of watery light. She stood beside the towel desk there, with soap upon one sleeve, the wire basket stacked by number, the air too warm to leave. A boy came in with goggles lost, two sisters shared a comb. The lifeguard shook his canvas shoes and called the last ones home. Then near the bench, a little girl rose slowly from her chair. One rubber cap held in her fist, two bright new crutches there. Her mother reached to take her arm. The child pulled back with pride. The wet floor waited blue and still between the bench and side. She saw the shining danger first, before a foot had found that one slick square beside the drain where laughter thinned the sound. No warning crossed the locker room, no pity filled the place. She only took a folded towel and bent with quiet grace. She dried the tile from edge to edge, then stepped behind the door. So what had nearly caught the child was only floor once more. Dry the tile first, let the crossing be. Let a little borrowed courage move where none can see. Dry the tile first, plain cotton blue and white. Yet all the room grew safer there before she entered light. Some falls are stopped before they fall. Some kindness leaves no trace. A towel folded back again, a hand not shown its place. And some who know the tender art of helping without claim can clear the smallest shining square and never call it shame. Dry the tile first, let the crutches ring. Let her reach the doorway proud as if she did the thing. Dry the tile first, no ribbon, no applause. Only a quiet patch of floor where fear forgot its cause. The basket slept, the pool went dark, the towel cart rolled away. And near the drain, one Drier Square held summer for the day.
The platform wore a coal smoke dusk. The lamps had just come on. One porter wheeled an empty cart, the later train not gone. Your suitcase showed its corner scuffs, your ticket folded twice. I straightened out your traveling glove and offered useless advice. You said the weather south might clear by morning, if not then. And all the steam along the tracks made ghosts of common men. I could not warm the window glass or ride the dark with you. I only slipped one little sun inside your coat to travel through. The orange in your pocket, you never saw me do it there. My hand was quick and small. Between the scarf, the timetable, the whistle and the call, the fruit
was warm from where it lay beside the stove at home. I thought perhaps it might keep noon where you would sit alone. No vow was set above the steam, no kiss delayed the train. Only the guard's lamp swinging green and soot that fell like rain. Yet after all these years I think of what love sometimes is. Not stopping what the miles will do, but sweetening them like this. I could not shorten any road or spare you station blue. I only gave your later hand a little round bright thing to use, the orange in your pocket. And somewhere past the freight yard bend, when all the fields were gone, you must have found that hidden weight and known what had been done. I like to think you smiled at once before the lamp swung shut, and kept one piece of evening light against the winter in your coat. Twilight clung to window glass. The floorboards held the blue. A magnolia sighed below, where dawn was breaking through. The canvas waited pale and still. The jars were lined in gray. No phonograph, no footstep yet, only the edge of day. My silhouette beside the pane looked thinner than before, as if one breath of morning light could open every door. The blue before color kept all the little room in grace, and laid a hush on every place. The blue before color. A teardrop trembled near my hand, then vanished in the shine. The rag, the brush, the wooden chair, all seemed almost divine. The rooftops softened into gold, the shadows thinned away, and one small jar upon the sill began to catch the day. A reverie moved through the room, and slow. The starlight left the window glass to let the morning grow. No serenade came through the street, no great command was heard, only the light on common things and one awakening bird. And then I knew how beauty starts, not with a blaze or cry, but with a little tender change in air and wood and sky. The blue before color kept all the little room in grace, and laid a hush on every place. The blue before color. At last I raised the waiting brush, the white began to flower. Still in my heart there softly stayed that blue and fragile hour. Twilight rests upon the wall, the lamp is trimmed and low. The phonograph begins to sing in accents soft and slow. You lift your hand to mine, as if by old design. The velvet rug remembers well this little step of thine, a little waltz to close the day in grace, with starlight on your face, a little waltz. The teacups have grown still, the fire has lost its flame, yet when you smile and murmur, darling, the room is young again. The window keeps one star, the curtains breathe and sigh, a silver hush moves through the room, like music passing by. No grand serenade was needed, no trumpet from afar. Your shoulder near my own tonight outshines the brightest star. A little waltz to close the day in grace, with starlight on your face, a little waltz. The record turns to silence. The lamp grows faint and small. Still one sweet measure lingers on and blesses all the walls. Twilight leaned on window glass. The cobblestones were bright. A phonograph behind the bar turned low into the night. The waiter moved in quiet shoes. The lamps were velvet dim. Your cup still kept a little steam, though you were gone from him. The door had closed a moment past. Its brass still held a sigh, and all the rain along the pane looked slower than goodbye. The chair by the window still faced the place where you had been, and held the hush you left within. The chair by the window, your silhouette stayed for a while in glass and amber light, as if the room could not yet lose the shape you wore tonight. A teardrop trembled, never fell. I would not let it show. The marble kept your folded check beside the afterglow. The phonograph grew soft and thin. The rain kept time outside. A little reverie of smoke went drifting with the tide. No serenade came through the door. No word returned your name. Only the chair, the cup, the pain, the room that stayed the same. And yet I think some evenings keep a tenderness unknown, where one chair waits beside the glass and learns to stand alone. The chair by the window still faced the place where you had been, and held the hush you left within. The chair by the window. The lamps grew small, the rain grew fine. The last cup lost its heat. Still one chair by the window kept your absence in its seat. The folding chairs are set in rows, the soup is keeping warm, and under stairs the basement pipes begin their little storm. You stand beside the kitchen shelf with steam along your sleeve, a pencil tucked behind your ear, too busy to believe. The enamel pans are cooling down, the ladles hang in pairs. A stack of plates waits near the door for whoever takes the stairs. You taste the broth and lower salt, then stir it once again, as if the whole cold neighborhood were coming in from rain. The boys bring chairs from Sunday school, the old men move them back. A woman folds the tablecloth along its printed crack. You open up the recipe box and find the card you need, written small in someone's hand for cabbage, cream and seed. You read the corner where it fades, then smile and close your eyes, and set the card back where it lives among the cakes and pies. The card in the recipe box, soft at the edge from years of hands, told more than any silver dish of what a room understands. The card in the recipe box, not merely how much flour to take, but how to feed a winter hour and leave no one awake to ache. No one will praise the pencil mark, the thumbprint near the name, the little cross beside the word that says to lower flame. Yet every supper has a past that stands behind the steam. Somebody's measure, somebody's care, still entering the dream. The card in the recipe box, placed back between the bread and stew, held all the quiet hands before that somehow worked through you. The card in the recipe box, plain as paper, worn and small, yet when you closed the wooden lid, it seemed to bless us all. The supper bell is rung upstairs, the basement fills with feet, and in the box the old card rests, still warm from being read. clung to window glass. The floorboards held the blue. A magnolia breathed below. The room was washed in dew. The canvas waited pale and still. The jars were lined in gray. No phonograph, no footstep yet. Only the edge of day. My silhouette beside the pane looked thinner than the night, as if one sigh could tilt the dark and let in tender light. Before the first brush, the whole hushed room began to glow with something only dawn could know. Before the first brush, a teardrop trembled near my hand, then vanished where it shone. The little saucer by the sink held one last star alone. I had no need of grander signs, no serenade above, for every jar and folded rag seemed full of waking love. The window glass turned warm with gold. The shadows lost their place. A reverie moved through the room and touched my lifted face. No masterpiece had yet begun. No color kissed the white, and still I felt the morning come like velvet over light. Then all at once I understood what quiet beauty does. It waits beside an ordinary thing and makes a world of us. Before the first brush, the whole hushed room began to glow with something only dawn could know. Before the first brush, at last I laid the color down. The blue gave way to gold. Still one small hush remained to bless the moment I could hold.
kettle has forgotten steam. The hallway clock speaks low. A phonograph begins to turn where firelight used to glow. You move the mending from the chair. I set the teacups by. The rug lies waiting in the lamplight, like something warm and shy. The rug between us still knows the turn our footsteps choose. Darling, the room grows young again. The rug between us, your silhouette in evening blue falls soft on wall and door. The old waltz comes in thin and sweet across the polished floor. One hand upon my shoulder rests. One sigh becomes a smile, and all the years between our first and this seem less a while. The record hums, the lampshade glows, a spoon gives back a gleam. Outside the winter keeps the street, inside we keep the dream. No ballroom kept us half so well, no grand serenade knew how much one little room can hold when I am here with you. The embers lose their crimson edge, the window takes the night. Yet every slow and faithful turn makes plain what time made bright. The rug between us still knows the turn our footsteps choose. Darling, the room grows young again. The rug between us, the record finds its final groove, then settles into rest, and starlight leans on window glass where your cheek lay on my chest. Twilight clung to window glass. The floorboards held the blue. A magnolia stirred below, where dawn was coming through. The canvas waited pale and still. The jars were lined in gray. My silhouette beside the pane looked softer with the day.
No phonograph, no footstep near. No word had found the air, only the hush before a stroke, and morning gathering there. The brush stayed dry while gold moved softly up the wall and made the little room seem all. The brush stayed dry. A teardrop trembled near my hand, then vanished in the light. The rooftops gave their last faint blue and yielded up the night. I raised the brush, then let it rest above the waiting white. For something in that growing dawn was already painted right. A reverie crossed the wooden floor, so tender, faint, and slow. The starlight left the upper panes to let the morning grow. No serenade came through the street, no banner touched the sky, only the jars, the rag, the bowl, and one awakening sigh. And then I knew how beauty comes, not blaze, nor cry, nor art, but like a little hour of light the stillest heart. The brush stayed dry while gold moved softly up the wall and made the little room seem all. The brush stayed dry. Down. The day grew mild and wide. Still in the room there lingered on the hush the dawn supplied. Fitting rooms had given back their voices to the wall, and on the counter near the pins the little bell stood small. You check the hem by window light, then smooth the tissue sleeve. Pattern book lay open wide where summer leaned to leave. The satin hangers clicked behind the curtains printed rose. A spool rolled once beneath the chair and stopped beside your shoes. The bride was due at 4:30, her mother due at 5. You set the gown across both arms as if it were alive, then touched the bell beside the till and turned its ribbon through until the bow sat straight enough for someone frightened too. The ribbon on the bell, pale against the brass, was only there to call a hand when customers should pass. The ribbon on the bell, I watched you make it right, and felt a little shop become a chapel full of light. The bride came in with gloves half on, her veil box at her side, and tried to smile the way one does when all the seams decide. You did not praise the dress too much or make the mirror kind. You only pinned the shoulder close and let her breathe in time. The bell gave out one silver sound when mother reached the door, then quieted beneath the bow as if it knew what for. You turned the train, you checked the waist, you clipped one thread away and left no trace of all the care that held her through the day. No organ played, no candles stood, no vows were spoken there, only muslin, chalk and lace, a girl afraid of air. Yet some rooms learn a holy thing by how a hand behaves, not changing what the hour will ask, but helping someone stay. The ribbon on the bell, still and neatly tied, held the smallest part of June before she stepped outside. The ribbon on the bell, not garland, ring or prayer, only proof that tenderness had passed its fingers there. At closing time the blinds came down, the pattern books were still, and on the counter, softly bowed, the bell kept all its will.
The lamps came on above the stream, one by one, then two. The river took their trembling gold and pulled it long and blue. The office doors had emptied out in ledgers, hats and hay. The bridge kept all our weekday feet in one familiar pace. I saw it first before I saw your face against the veil. That length of wool I knew is yours, the scarf on the rail. You always came before I did and leaned there toward the tide, as if the whole day only kept a little room beside. No bouquet bright, no practiced line, no grand and public tale, just evening iron river wind, the scarf on the rail. You'd looped it through the blackened bars to free your hands from cold. One glove around the paper cup, one hand the railing held. The steam went briefly through your hair, then vanished in the dim. And all at once the bridge we crossed each day grew close and warm with him. No promise had to make itself above that traffic hum. We knew the hour, the corner light, the step by which I'd come. And love, when it has learned the week, grows punctual and plain. It hangs its little banner first against the dark and rain. You always came before I did and left one sign in view. So even from the farthest end, the bridge was already you. And still when winter takes the lamps and dusk comes early pale, I think of all that waited there, the scarf on river kept on under us. The cup went empty thin. You took the wool back to your throat and tucked the whole sky in.
The exchange was lit by one desk lamp, the wall clock nearing 2, and rain along the tin roof seams kept tapping something through. You sat before the switchboard there, with pencils in a jar, the cotton cords in hanging rows, the town asleep and far. A doctor called from County Road. His voice came thin and crossed. A mother in the hospital had asked before she lost. Her son was somewhere west of Rome on work no train could mend. You marked the slip, then kept one jack reserved until the end. You let the other callers wait, then watch the small lights burn as if a life could hold its breath until a voice returned. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear. Let no idle word come in where one boy must appear. Hold the line clear, no one in town would know how carefully you guarded space for love to travel slow. The night clerk asked for Bedford, Maine. A farmer tried the mill. The rain went hard against the roof, then softened on the sill. You answered each with quiet hands, then moved the cord aside, so nothing crossed that waiting place where distance had to ride. At 3, the overseas call came back, a crackle, then a name. You leaned close to the mouthpiece there and did not sound the same. Hold on, you said, and patched him through, your finger on the key. And all the room grew still enough to hear what could not be. You looked away before they spoke, but left the circuit true. The rain kept time for every word that passed because of you. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear, till the miles grow small enough for one voice to come near. Hold the line clear, plain work beneath the light. Yet all of October leaned in close across that wire tonight. Some partings where no station smoke, no waving from a door. They wait inside a numbered room and ask the wires for more. And some hands know the mercy of doing less, not more, keeping the world from speaking until one voice comes ashore. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear, for the word that has to find the one who needs to hear. Hold the line clear, I saw your hand stay still, and learn that silence held with care can carry what words will.